Just a thought. But at any rate, once I think I have an idea of a possible solution to their problem, we have to get down to money. Solving problems usually gets down to that eventually. Okay, how much money do we have to solve this problem? Well, maybe he tells me he has $20,000 cash. Well, this is important. I have to know how much cash he's got. What if a week from now we found him the perfect solution to his real estate problem? He's going to make an offer that night. He's going to sign an agreement of sale a few days later, and it's going to say paid herewith a certain amount of money as an earnest money deposit. This is going to happen before, if he has a house to sell, before the house is sold. So I have to know how much liquid capital he has. I'm not saying he has to have 20. I just need to know what kind of ammunition I have. Okay? Then the next thing I want to know, 2836. Now you can argue with me about that, but different mortgages, those ratios could change a little bit, but they're pretty solid. Most lenders will not allow you to spend more than 28% of your gross income on a gross mortgage payment. Principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, okay? And that only works if a total of all your long-term debt, that's your mortgage payment, plus your car payments and your Raymore and Flanagan payment and your college loan payment and credit card payments, can't total more than 36% of your gross income, okay? So we're talking about your income and your long-term debt. Now, a lot of people are going to argue this one with me. That's your credit score, your FICO score, Fair Isaac. Okay? Now, some people say that's a little high. Well, I like to deal with well-qualified buyers. Okay? I'm not big on spending my time with borderline cases. Why? Because half of them get turned down for a mortgage, and I worked all of those hours for nothing. Okay, now you could try one here and there if you are so inclined. I like to see people a little overqualified. Well, are there many of those people? Yeah, it depends on how you market yourself. Okay? Who am I talking about? I'm talking about the people who list their house in Barclay Farm in Cherry Hill and come out of the settlement with $200,000 in their pocket, and they put it down, $200,000 down on a $450,000 house they bought. Wow, are they qualified, okay? They don't need a job, all right? What I'm saying to you is you can borderline it. What's the problem when you borderline the FICO score? They have 2 leased cars and the leases are up. What happens when you make the last lease payment? You don't have a car. You have to lease another one, okay, which affects your FICO score, okay? At any rate, you can make those decisions on your own, but it's going to come down to something that you can argue. I'm not going to do business with anybody that doesn't have 10,000, and you may, there are people who will say 25, 33. Some people will say 650, 680, whatever, for a FICO score. But the point I'm trying to make is you'll be dealing with certain lenders and they will sweeten up these particular criteria for you, but I need to know that. And then I'm going to put this here. This is really why I'm going through with this discussion. I'm trying to give you an overview of what real estate is really about. Okay? That's one half. That's qualifying the buyer. Let's talk a minute about the listing presentation. This is dealing with the guy who's a buyer. Now, do you understand most buyers are also sellers? Okay, except first-time buyers. You're selling your house in Barclay, you're moving to Wexford Lees, you're moving from Cherry Hill East to Cherry Hill West, you're moving from Runnymede to Haddon Heights to Haddonfield, whatever, okay? But the listing presentation, I'm going out to talk to a seller who wants to sell his home. He also has a real estate problem. I'm going to probably be there the same 3 hours I was with the buyer. And I have to understand that they're trying to solve a problem. Now, I may be only half of it. Sometimes the buyer's moving in from Ohio. I have nothing to do with him selling his house, just the buying end. Sometimes I'm only the listing person because they're moving to Chicago. And I don't work both ends of the railroad, okay? But the listing presentation, I'm going out. Maybe these people have called 2 or 3 real estate brokerage firms to come in, tell them how they market real estate, and they're going to pick a company to put their house on the market. If you're successful in convincing the seller to use your brokerage firm to market their home, you will have them, before you leave that night, sign a listing contract. It's what the listing presentation is all about. Now, what do you suppose is the first question that seller's going to have for you? How much can you sell my house for? Okay? Now, if you go out without having that number pretty well worked, we do what's called a CMA, a comparative market analysis. It is a function of your MLS computer. You tell the computer about the house that you're going to go out and do the listing presentation. Let's say it's a Deerfield Rancher in Barclay, and 12 of them have sold in the last 2 months. What do you think the one you list is going to sell for? Pretty much in that price range that those 12 sold for. And you do yourself a really good CMA, and you actually drive out and look at the comps and so forth, shot the whole day doing it, and you're pretty confident that this house is going to sell for around $250,000. That's what it's going to sell for. But we don't usually list houses for what we think they're going to sell for. Okay? Because most Americans want to bargain a little bit and get a little bit off of that price. The problem is, however, if I get the asking price too high, nobody's going to want to even look at it. Okay? Let's say not only 12 of these Deerfield Ranchers sold in the last couple of months, there's 12 of them presently on the market. So if you're a salesperson and you have somebody coming in tonight that likes one of the ranchers in Barclay, you're probably not going to pick the 3 most expensive. Okay? You're probably going to pick them down a little bit from that. So we arrived at this number only using what houses actually sold for. Now we're going to look at the competition, what's on the market presently. And we're saying, boy, we'd love to put this thing up for $299.99, but the other 12, none of them are over $285. And we figure maybe let's try $279.9 and see if it gets shown. We'll put it in a book at that.